Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. We'll get started here in a few minutes, but in the meantime, if anybody has any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. We'll get started here in a few minutes. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. We'll get started here in a little bit. Hey, David. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Hope everybody's playthroughs are going okay. Yeah, that happens. Whether you intentionally court insanity or whether it just pops up on its own, it is certainly going to happen in this game. And I'm doing a little bit of both in these playthroughs. This one's going to be the Paladin live stream is going to be a bit more chaotic than the Bard one, but still, I'm anxious to show different aspects of the game. Yeah, that's part of the live streams. I talked about it at the end of the Bard live stream that just concluded earlier today. Sacrificing the +1 ability score from the Hag to be able to play it out a different way. That, you know, a lot of people don't get to see because that +1 reward is just so powerful. It's so useful. So, I like playing things a different way. I don't normally go, you know, full Dark Urge, 100% evil type of playthroughs, but I like playing out storylines in different ways for you guys. As we saw with Karlach here. So yeah, it's hard to step outside of that. That's one of the things that tabletop taught me when I first started playing, was that it really reinforces that, you know, it's still a role play. And no matter how difficult it is, being able to step outside of yourself like that, it can be harder and easier for different people, so. Welcome everyone to today's live stream, episode 10 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Paladin gameplay series. I'm Commander Dror, and I want to thank you for coming along on our journey today. So, admin notes. As is usual, Larian Studios is showing again just how on the ball they are when it comes to fixing their game and listening to player comments. And they put out 2 hotfixes this week, hotfixes 8 and 9. They are both currently live. Make sure your games are updated, and so you can take full advantage of the fixes that are involved. There's a lot of fixes for PS5, which is good to see that Larian is focused on making sure that the console versions are just as up to date and stable as the PC versions. But do make sure that you've got everything updated. And it's going to be a continuing thing by Larian. Almost every week they have put out some sort of patch and or hotfix. And again, really impressive to see it coming from, you know, what really is not a AAA studio. So can't be more happy to see it. So on the second admin note, the contractors haven't shown up today if they are going to show up today. So there's a chance that they might not, but just to alert you if you hear any banging or sawing or anything going on in the background. Today, we'll just bear with it like we did last week and try and mute the mic as much as I can. Should be the last week of construction here, and should be getting all of my stuff back moved in this coming week. So hopefully, middle end of this week, everything should be back to normal. But I think that's it for the admin notes. So on a recap, at the end of last week, we had made our way into the Goblin Camp. We had cleared out the outside encounters as much as we could, meaning we had done the owlbear encounter with chicken chasing, we had talked to Scratch, we had explored all of the exterior areas as much as we could. We talked to Trader Grat outside and picked up some items. And then we moved inside and we moved over and did the Loviatar's Love encounter. And that's where we're going to pick up today. Inside the Goblin Camp, we're going to finish up this side. So we're going to rescue Volo. We're going to rescue the prisoner on the rack. Head over to the other side, talk to the Zhentarim, and kind of go from there. So, just as a follow-up to this...
Here goes nothing.
So, here, there's a book on the table that talks about the worship of Loviatar and what's happening with this. So basically saying that, while it is tempting to allow the pain to sweep you away, broken bones hinder the worship and all that sort of stuff for people who are devotees to Loviatar. It's about the pain not necessarily inflicting mortal damage or physical damage. Up here on the shelf is a book called The Screed of the Willing, and if you read it, so it talks about the other aspects of Loviatar, and it talks about the fact that the maiden wants to see your suffering. She loves you for that suffering. So it kind of goes more into depth about what is, what's happening here. And then there is, and that's on receiving her grace here. So I think that's it here on the table. Yes, I think that's it.
Yes.
So, there are some other, things going on in there that help you explain how you're supposed to be going through that encounter and what it's supposed to do for you.
Time to press ahead.
So we're going to head over here and we're going to talk to Torturer Spike.
I have something to ask.
What you still here for? I said out!
Okay, so we had already talked to Torturer Spike, I guess, last time. So did we deal with Volo last time too? No, we did not. Okay, so we want to talk to Volo in here, find the one little pixel where it works.
Don't go bothering my pigeon, it's mine. Keep him safe. Listen to him coo. Till I gets hungry or some such. What's it to ya? Him? Nah. Then catch one on your own.
The mark glows, but you feel nothing in response. Your illithid power is beyond reach until you rest.
Okay, so we have some options here. And we have Intimidation Proficiency. Oh boy, a good roll to start this off. That's ominous.
All right, calm down. I don't want no trouble. Here's the key. Pigeon's all yours.
Look at this. I'm quite saved. A joy to see a familiar face in such a precarious setting. I guarantee the story of your daring rescue of my person will live on for eons. I intend to do just that. A trusty invisibility potion goes a long way in a place like this. We mustn't tarry, but I'd hate for our friendship to end here. Please, won't you meet me once we've both slipped the goblin yoke? Why, by design, my friend. How better to learn the ways of a people than to live among them? I dare say the experiment has proven most fruitful, too. I'll be happy to share my findings once we've found somewhere safe to parley. Smashing! Soon, my friend. Soon we can share a flagon of something liquid and a tale of daring do. I'll slip away when the coast is clear. See you soon, my friend. I simply can't wait to pick your brain!
Okay, so Volo takes off. There are some items that we can search in here with some camp supplies. Holding left alt, you can see there's more laying on the ground. We'll just quickly pick those up. And there is a letter here to Elminster. Elminster, if you are not familiar with the lore of the Forgotten Realms, is one of the most important characters in the Forgotten Realms. We're actually going to meet Elminster a little bit later on in the playthrough as well. Okay, so now we're going to come back around this side and head over here.
Never felt so strong.
And we'll talk to Roa here.
That the jingle of coin I hear? You've timed it well, my friend. Already turned quite the profit today, so I'm feeling generous. You recognize the crest she bears, the winged serpent of the Zhentarim. Half right, sharp eyes. As then is a normal trader. Just a matter of what's for sale. Weapons and other exotic goods, true enough. But most of all, we offer discretion. No judgment, no right and wrong, just good deals and bad. That a problem for you? Bit quieter, if you please. This crowd just burned that into the ground, you might recall. But good. That means Zaris and her little operation weren't found. Seems you're a friend of the family. That warrants a discount. A small one.
Okay, so taking a look here, I do want to look through what we have equipped. Okay, I don't think there's going to be anything here that is going to be more useful than what we already have. Okay, we do have a hand crossbow +1 though, which we will definitely take. So now we have +1 hand crossbows in both hands. There's a light crossbow +1 as well. Looks like we're already stocked up on those, however. Okay, so let's get rid of several other items that we're carrying around here. And there, and I think that's going to be about it. Okay. Yes, that does take care of it. So, from her perspective... Oh, has the gold wormling staff. Interesting. Something we haven't seen before in our playthroughs, in that the staff here gives you access to the firebolt cantrip, which is very nice. If you run out of spells to be able to cast, having that on tap all the time can be very, very useful. Just thinking. Because I may want to pick it up. It is fairly expensive. We also have the Monster Slayer Glaive, which I haven't seen in a long time either. That could be very useful. Actually, yeah, it could be. Not as much now as it would have been a little bit previously, but it also has the refined vaulting perk, which gives you an increased jump distance. So we've seen the Blooded Great Axe before. I think... No, I think I'm going to pass. Gale already has that cantrip. I don't know as if it would, and Shadowheart as a half-elf already has it as well, so I don't think it's useful for us. Okay, and from there, I think it's probably time for us to go talk to Priestess Gut. So now it becomes a question of who do we want to receive the brand. And remember, the brand gives you access to certain pieces of armor and or weapons that you're going to pick up. And the main one that we have right now that deals with that is the Gloves of Power. So this gives you sleight of hand +1, but it also lets you inflict Bane by using any weapon attack. And for Astarion, being able to attack ranged with both his main hand and offhand can be very useful in spreading Bane around. However, he's going to have to give up either the Gloves of Thievery, which doesn't really matter. This is combat-based, this is not. So you would just swap those in and out as you need to. Or the Gloves of Archery, which he doesn't really need at this point, except it does give you a +2 to all of your ranged weapon attacks, which means that each one of these now goes from +6 to +8 on all of those, which can be very, very useful. But I think I am still going to pick it up for Astarion. Because it only works for weapon attacks, it doesn't work for spell attacks. So like Gale's Magic Missile or something like that wouldn't be able to spread Bane around. And I think we've got enough here. I guess they could be useful here as well. Well, let's go up and get my Paladin and Astarion branded here.
Smells like burnt flesh in here.
Now here's somebody special. The Absolute has touched you, hasn't she? Priestess Gut needs to touch you too. Hold out your arm so I can mark your flesh. Shows our devotion to the Absolute. These maggots see how strong we are with her guidance. Whole camp will be branded soon, and you should be too. You ready? Brace yourself. This'll sting. Hold still.
As pain muddles your thoughts, your minds become entangled. A familiar sensation. She too carries a parasite. Darkness seems to swallow the temple, leaving you with a vision of the Goblin Priestess receiving instruction from a handsome young man, one of the chosen. The vision dissolves away. You stand before the Goblin Priestess in the temple once again. Your minds brush against one another, but are swiftly parted.
Don't want to get intimate in front of the novices. Fair enough. Got some weird shadows in your head. Maybe I can help with that. Us true souls gotta look out for one another.
Okay, so I'm going to leave here,
True souls are infected like us.
and I'm going to have
Why do
Astarion
they
talk
think
to
they're
her.
talking to a god?
Now here's somebody special. The Absolute has touched you, hasn't she? Priestess Gut needs to touch you too. Hold out your arm so I can mark your flesh. Let's the faithful recognize one another quick sharp. That way nobody'll mess with ya. And it's charged with magic. Ordinary slobs can't see it, only us that follow the Absolute.
Charged with magic. Perhaps that explains the ease with which these goblins submit to true souls.
You ready? Brace yourself. This'll sting.
You notice you do not get a second set of approvals or disapprovals.
Hold still.
So you can brand everybody you'd like and not have multiple disapprovals.
As pain muddles your thoughts, your minds become entangled. A familiar sensation. She too carries a parasite. Darkness seems to swallow the temple, leaving you with a vision of the Goblin Priestess receiving instruction from a handsome young man, one of the chosen. The vision dissolves away. You stand before the Goblin Priestess in the temple once again. Her faith floods into you, a tide of shuddering ecstasy. Her tadpole nestles within that mania, secure, hidden.
I feel you in there. Digging around. Works both ways. And I saw some weird shadows swimming around in your head just now. Maybe I can help with that. Us true souls gotta look out for one another. Of course. Don't want this rabble interfering with true soul business. Let's go to my chapel.
Okay, so Astarion has been branded. So if he equips the Gloves of Power now, this is going to allow him to inflict Bane on a target without
This is
being
interesting.
Watch the shadows.
baned himself. It turns that effect into a one-way street. Okay, and I'm gonna split Astarion off here.
Oi, come here. I ain't waiting around. Ready to clear your head?
Okay, now while he's in conversation, I'm going to move to my other characters here.
Swift as my feet can carry me.
Going to close the door behind me. And now I can just go up and offer up an attack on True Soul Gut. I don't really care what she has to say. You can go in here and play this out multiple ways. One of the more interesting ways to play it is to allow her to put you to sleep. However, Astarion is an elf, so he cannot be put to sleep by the potion that she gives you. But if you do have a character that allows you to get put to sleep, you get thrown in jail. You can pass a couple of checks to get out of jail, but if you stay in jail, then eventually you will get rescued. And you will get rescued by a female dwarf, I think she's a dwarf, that will come and slit True Soul Gut's throat right in front of you, inside the prison cell. And she will then take off, and you learn that she is an ally of somebody else who she says is looking out for you. And it's a very interesting way to play it. You can go check that out in other content creations that have been done by, there are videos of it out there right now, so you can see it play out. I don't really have a need to play it out that way.
Your violence hasn't gone unnoticed. It's about to be returned in kind.
Okay, so I could add a Divine Smite on top of this, but I'm not going to need to. Okay, you see she's now baned, so she's going to have a 1d4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws.
What should I do?
So now we can just use cantrips to finish her off at this point. She's low enough hit points. Okay, only a 1.
What fools these mortals be.
And I'm anxious to see what happens when he uses this. In early access, if you use the Staff of Crones to cast Ray of Sickness, it also damaged you when you did it. I'm anxious to test this out and see what happens. So I'm going to watch Gale's hit points. He's full up at 30. Okay, so he didn't take any damage from that. Okay, so we picked up another Mind Flayer Parasite. We've picked up the Absolute's Warboard, which is, again, an Absolute's brand armor piece. So now you gain +1 to saving throws when you're using this, if you have the brand. And you also have Absolute's Talisman, which is, if you have the brand, you have advantage on death saving throws. So a couple of pieces of gear there that go along with your brand. So here talks about the fact that you have Halsin, that they have him. He's down in the warg pens to go find him. Okay, so when I shift over to using a shield here, instead of using the glowing shield, which gives you loving protection, which is great, I could use the Absolute's Warboard instead and gain a +1 bonus to my saving throws. So 6 of one, half dozen the other, depending upon what you're looking for and who you're in a fight with. Whether you want the temporary hit points once per short rest, or do you want a constant +1 to saving throws with access to the heroism spell, which I don't have right now. So, for instance, equipping this, I now have the heroism spell that I'm able to cast once per long rest. Okay, so, which can be very, very useful, especially making you immune to being frightened if you're not a class that comes with that already. I also picked up the Absolute's Talisman, which having advantage on death saving throws is okay. It's not anything spectacular. However, it does also give you access to the Aid spell. So here, having the Aid spell, again, can be useful to increase your hit point maximum by 5 hit points. So again, it lasts until long rest, so it's something that you put on, you cast it immediately as soon as you wake up, and then you can swap it out for something else. Okay. So there are some benefits here from being inside here, but you do want to make sure that you're doing all this with the door closed. Otherwise, you can have goblins walk in on you or see you from outside, and then things can get a lot worse because everyone will go hostile towards you if they see you doing that. So once it's done and you're not in a fight anymore, then you can feel free to leave. Doesn't matter if they see her
How much farther can I go?
dead body or not, but still might as well close the door anyway. Okay, so now making our way through the rest of the Goblin Camp here. We're going to do this fairly straightforward in the same way that we did on the Bard playthrough, and that you want to take out Priestess Gut in the privacy of her chambers, but then the rest of it you want to move back here into this corner and deal with Minthara here first. Okay. And I didn't save him. You certainly can save him. The easiest way to save Smythen down here is to have an invisibility potion and go in there in turn-based mode and throw the invisibility potion at Smythen. As soon as you walk in there, the timer starts, and you have to throw it before he gets pushed off. If you do, then he will take off and leave. But again, not something. If I'd have remembered it, I probably would have done it, but I'm not too worried about the fact that I didn't remember it. Okay, so while I'm up here, I'm going to break my group again. And actually, I'm not. I'm going to group everybody back up. I'm going to put everybody in hiding, and now I'm going to break my group. It's not crucially important that everybody stays in hiding up there. You're going to get seen by the patrolling goblins, and that's fine. What I want to do is take out the scrying eye here, though. There's going to be some interactions here between the Scrying Eye and Scrut. But I want the Scrying Eye gone, because if it's not dead when I go in here, if it sees me, it's going to call for reinforcements. And I do not want it to do that. So we're going to wait for it to move until it gets back here, and then we're going to take it out. And just have to be patient and wait for them to finish jawing at each other. And you want Scrut to stay down here. If Scrut moves back here this way with the eye, then you have to wait for their next turn around, and he will stay down here. He kind of alternates between staying down here and looking this way and moving back around in an arc. So
Then they're prepared to die for the absolute.
okay, so Scrut's moving back this way, so we're going to have to wait until he moves around the back and comes back to his spot. Then they're going to have another interaction here, and then the Scrying Eye will move, but Scrut will stay down here. So again, just going to be patient. If you get into combat down here, like I said, and the Scrying Eye sees you, then the place is going to become hostile, and you can very quickly get overwhelmed here. So we want to play this as stealthily as we can. Okay, so Scrut's moved off, so I'm going to get ready to enter turn-based mode.
The village to the east. It's abandoned.
Looks that way. But scouts said they heard something moving around out there. Something big.
It's not our concern. Our prey is elsewhere.
And as soon as the Scrying Eye moves, okay, here we go. Alright.
How many raiders do we have?
So we're going to move up here, and you see he's kind of behind the bookshelf here. So we should be able to get a sneak attack. Okay. Alright, so there we go. Okay, so Scrut saw me. That's not a big deal. Scrut does not normally go back toward the drum. Scrut normally comes to me. But for him to get there, he's going to have to dash to do it. On the bottom, it's 3 meters. Out to here, 16. He can't move that far, so he's going to have to dash to get up here. Okay, so he is going toward the drum. Doesn't really matter how I do this now. Let's go ahead and bring everybody else down here. Okay, because remember, Minthara and WotC here are not in combat yet. Only Scrut is.
It's not our concern. Our prey is elsewhere.
But we do want to get our Paladin into combat anyway. We just need to wait for Minthara to turn and talk to WotC again so her detection cone gets out of the way. And that was a horrible glitch. I hate this side. For some reason, their detection cones can see through the wall sometimes and knock you out of hiding. And when I moved forward, where's Zerga at? Okay, so he's over here. Knocked me out of hiding, and then it put me in combat with him there. And now I'm not going to be able to move up, because his detection cone is probably way covering all this up. Yep. So I'd have to try and kill Zerga, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it in one turn. Let's actually see.
Let's spill some blood.
He does not have any arrows of roaring thunder. And he's probably not going to be able to hide. But I need to be able to kill Zerga and remove his detection cone if I want to get anybody else in here to attack Scrut. Might as well try and hide here.
Just like old times.
Okay. Why is... Oh, that stupidly strange target outside normal range when he's well within the circle thing. Okay. Okay, so let's see if we can get a cantrip here. I'm trying not to utilize my spell slots until I get... And this is just going to get more and more... Oh no, that brought him into combat. That's fine. Trying not to utilize my spell slots until I get into the combat with Minthara. Of course. Okay, so if I move in there, I'm going to immediately get into combat with Minthara.
How many raiders do we have?
Plenty of
I don't think I have a choice, though.
Loads of hunters and a few pariahs to carry the powder kegs.
These pariahs, they're prepared to fight for the absolute.
What they do ain't exactly fighting. All
Okay.
they gotta do is light up a powder and burn.
So
Then they're
let's
prepared to die for the absolute.
jump.
Dying's the only thing they're good at.
Bring Minthara into combat.
I need to find a way forward.
Move out here. Am I within range? I am. Okay. So that takes care of the war drum, so we're not going to have any more reinforcements. Now I just have to deal with Scrut, Rozak, and Minthara all together. Whereas normally I would only be dealing with Rozak and Minthara, because Scrut I would have killed back here outside of the combat area. Okay. So I think with Astarion we're going to move him down here. And let's dash him. Move him down here.
Look at you, for
We'll get off an attack here to hopefully kill Zerka. Jeez.
they're stuck-ups.
And then we'll continue on this way.
Be happy they didn't throw you to the spiders yet.
Okay, so again, we want to end things here.
Onward.
Well, let's move Shadowheart down here. See what we have for ranged possibilities.
I'm just saying, those eyes.
Or that's Gale, anyway.
So you wanna become spider?
So too far. Finally.
Exactly where those adventurers came from. What are they doing? Hiding in trees? We'll smoke them out, no problem.
Okay, I'm held, which is bad. Okay. So Rozak and Minthara both are going to become the problem here. But there's not a whole lot I can do here. Let's go ahead and bite Scrut. Give him the bloodless trait. Okay, we'll bane him. So he's going to have a 1d4 penalty. And this is what's going to be the problem. Because they're all just crits. Okay, so we're going to have to really get into this here. And we definitely want to get rid of Reckless Warcry here. Okay, so he's got 1 hit point left again.
Got to move.
So a 60% chance there, 75% chance, but he'd have a saving throw, and a 60% chance. So the best chance I'm going to have here is just with a regular ranged attack. Let's go ahead and Hunter's Mark here. Alright. So now the next turn here, Astarion's going to be able to move back anyway. So looks like the detection cones, I can move out of the way of them. So I'm within attack range of Minthara, so I definitely want to move back out of that. Want to go into hiding here.
Ignore them and be happy they didn't throw you to the...
That is critical miss after critical miss. we're going to again move back out of the way and let them come to me. Okay. So
I'm just saying, those eyes.
for Gale here,
Do you want to become spider food?
2 misses.
What are they doing? Hiding in trees?
Okay, so for
Well, no problem.
here, no.
I'll tell you, the scrying eye was looking at
55%
them
either way.
Right.
Not great. Wow, all the critical misses. Okay, now because I just got raised, I do not have an action available to me. However, I do have a bonus action. And I will remove him from the board. Okay. For Astarion, I think he's going to be better off just holding in place here. Okay, so she saved against the poison. I hate paladins. I really hate paladins.
What are they doing? Hiding in trees? We'll smoke 'em out.
How many ones am I gonna roll here? Isn't that like the 3rd or 4th one that we've seen already? I mean, come on. This is getting a bit ridiculous.
Get the true soul of them. They're drowned. I'd be happy they didn't throw you to the spiders yet.
Now.
Alright, so... Alright, good. That got us some range. Okay, so we succeeded on his death saving throw. Alright, that was good.
May it please, Mistra.
Okay, so she's about halfway gone now. I definitely want to get her shield back up. Okay, so she saved on that for the bonus action. I'm not too worried about that, though. Okay, so now her armor class is 28 right now, so hopefully she'll be able to avoid some of these attacks here. Okay, I'm gonna have to think what I'm actually going to do.
Better not die on me.
Do you think the dwarf is ready yet?
Get Astarion back up, so that now that Minthara is threatened, I can get sneak attacks from Astarion. Regardless of whether he's in hiding or not.
Outmaneuver them.
Oh yeah, he got raised up, so his action is not going to be available to him. And now Minthara hopefully is going to go after Shadowheart. Okay, so she didn't, but she took a big hit leaving.
What are they doing? Hiding in trees? We'll smoke them out, no problem.
Can't afford to let up.
$55%, 50%, 40%. Yeah, not a whole lot of difference between any of these. Of course.
We're all on the same side. Although we're going to set the true soul on fire. They're drowned. They're stuck-ups. Ignore.
Okay.
And be happy they didn't throw you to the spiders yet.
So, and I am, of course, Loviatar's love kicked in. So I've got 30% of my hit points or less, so I've got a +2 to attack rolls and wisdom saving throws. So, got a lot of conditions going on right now.
The dwarf is ready yet? I'm hungry.
Orders were to stay here.
All right.
These true souls have their limits.
So, because of this stupid glitch through the wall stuff, I hate that. There's no way they should be able to see through here, but for some reason
I don't need any
they
attention
do
right now.
sometimes. You could be standing right here and they will just see you. It's so horrible. I have no idea why.
I'm done. I can't wait to sleep.
Okay, so I'm going to take a short rest here and get some of those back.
Horrors waiting for us.
Okay, so for Minthara, we obviously get another Mind Flayer specimen. You do get another alchemy patch and camp supply pack because she can become a companion for you. If you let her destroy the grove, she can become a party member, and she has a rather interesting storyline when it comes to the Chosen as well. We are going to get the spider silk armor which we'll send to Astarion, and then the Boots of Striding, which we've learned about before, which basically, if you cast a spell that gets concentration, you gain momentum for 1 turn. So you can't get knocked prone or be moved against your will, meaning you cannot be shoved, but you have to be concentrating on a spell when you're doing this. And there's a way to kind of maximize the bonuses from this. You also get Cyanide, which is once per short rest. If you miss an attack, then whatever you were attacking gets Fairy Fire cast on it for 2 turns, which can be very, very useful because Fairy Fire not only helps you gain advantage on your attack, all of your party members gain advantage on that attack. So Cyanide is a very good +1 mace that has a great enchantment that goes along with it. Oh, and you also get the Spider's Lyre, which is just another lyre. I don't think there are any benefits to it. No, there's not. Just another lyre here that you can pick up. Okay, now knocking that goblin into the pit means I'm not going to be able to loot him. That's why you don't want to do it with Minthara, because you won't be able to loot Minthara when you're done. So use it for low item enemies and that sort of stuff, but don't use it for any of your enemies that are going to have high tier stuff that you want to loot, because you won't be able to loot them from here. If I'm holding left alt, there's no body or anything like that that you can deal with. So it's an easy way to make that fight a lot shorter, but again, you're gonna miss out on some really good items. Okay, you have the water sparkers. We've talked about these before. If you're standing in water during combat, you become electrified. Then the water becomes electrified. If you start your turn, meaning the next turn after you move on to the water, if you start your turn on it, then you gain 3 lightning charges. However, the electrified water is going to electrocute you. It's going to cause lightning damage. And you have to be able to avoid that, really. And there is a ring that you can pick up later on, which makes you immune to lightning damage. And that would synergize very well with the water sparkers boots. But okay, so here I'm going to drink one of these. That gets me almost all of them back. Astarion's gonna drink one as... Oh, great. Astarion's going to drink one as well. And we're gonna split this. Give 2 more back to Astarion. And that should be good. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is change over here. To this. So now my armor class goes up to 21 as long as Shield of Faith stays active on me. Once Shield of Faith disappears, it goes back down to 19. Okay, and
What's next?
No one's stopped me yet.
I think that gets me to
On
a
my way.
good point here. So now we're going to deal with this encounter in here. And we're going to approach this the same way that we've approached encounters previously. Let's actually go over here first.
What's up for discussion?
I've seen flumps and owlbears and squiddies. I never seen nothing like you.
Okay, be very careful when you're clicking here to make sure that you're clicking on Brakkal.
Praise his ever-bleeding axe. Praise his throne of flaming iron. Praise Loviatar. Trying to interrupt my prayers? Scared of a real god? You're as goomless as the rest of them. 'Cause I'm loyal to Loviatar. 'Cause I ain't having my head turned by some upstart god. Yeah, and I can see by that mark on your hand that you're part of their mob. Bollocks to your absolute, and bollocks to you and all.
Okay, so I failed my perception check here.
Wait for more to do.
Going to move Gale and Astarion. Actually, not Astarion.
Still breathing, despite everything. I need to find a way forward.
Okay, and then
Way to go still.
I'm going to have her changed over to the shield.
Can't give up now.
He's going to be changed to the shield. And then Astarion.
Let's move. What a day.
Move him up here. And he passed the perception check, so he can try and disarm the door, and we're going to get people that are going to be unhappy about this.
You were seen disarming a trap. That's the kind of behavior that will see you locked up. Or dead. Your choice.
Okay. So, Astarion rolled high, which is exactly what you'd expect. So who's first? So Sharp-Eyed Zammy here is the next one. Where are my detection cones? So I am overlapped down here by this detection cone from Warrior Clack.
Over here.
See if I can go into hiding here.
On the hunt.
Nope. So it is allowing me to apply sneak attack damage. That's fine.
Can't give up.
Okay, and then Shadowheart.
Bleed for me.
Still on my feet.
And then me. Okay. I am looking to see if there are any other permanent spells that I have. Okay, so I could cast Armor of Agathis on myself. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to. He's got 5 hit points left here. Gale still has to go.
Transport is set.
So this is 1d8, right? Or 1d10. So a 50-50 chance of getting a kill if it hits. Of course. How did I know that was going to happen? But I do have a high armor class there. Okay, so we will go back to Astarion here and disarm this trap. Look at all the bonuses. I forgot to put my thievery gloves on, but I do get a +1 from Gloves of Power. I guess something had to make up for those 3 or 4 nat 1s that I rolled during the Minthara combat.
Look at where the absolutes love gotten. Dead! Thanks for breaking me out. Gonna find me a new tribe. One that appreciates the old ways.
Okay. So did get an inspiration back from that, which is always good. Go into hiding again. Break our group, and we're gonna go deal with this other group in here real quick. I think they're probably out of range here, if I had to guess. Nope, he's not.
You're being arrested for assault. Judging by the
And
look
of course
on
I
this
missed the
guard's face, you're getting off
90%er or
lightly.
whatever it was.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, so here... I can get up here on top of this crate. I don't know if I'm going to get seen while I'm doing it, though. Okay. So I did... Oh, but they're not marked as hostile for some reason.
Can't slow down.
Okay, yeah, they were. It was just fake.
My face protects me.
Oh, the game sometimes. It's rather interesting. Knocks me out of hiding back here. I get seen by him, but I'm not put into combat. They're not marked with red icons. They're only marked as yellow, but somehow when I move up there, it puts me into combat. Like I say, some very strange things.
On I go then. Need to stay focused. Got to move.
Okay, and again, I'm trying just to
I'll strike you down.
maximize my action economy here. So he's 7 meters away from me, and again, they probably haven't fixed this. Movement speed is, yeah, they're all still listed as 0. I have no idea why that is. But I'm going to move back out of his way. He's melee based. And he's 12 meters away. I don't think he's got a 12 meter movement range. I think he's going to have to dash to get to me. Yep. Now that he's threatened, I can get sneak attack ranged whenever I want.
Yes.
Ready.
Not gonna say it. That was a mistake. I should have reapplied Hunter's Mark first.
I can't even catch my breath.
Okay. Great. Thank you. What a horrible sequence. But part of that was my fault, so I can't really complain about it. and Gale gets a crit with his bow. Classic.
No traps, please.
Okay, now I do have speak with animals. You can speak to the rat here.
A longing for small spaces, stone walls hugging close, confining. There is a light here, in the tight space beneath the floor. Secret things that shine.
Okay, so we've talked about this before. There's a conversation there talking about something underneath the floor that's got shiny things in it.
Don't waste a step.
I don't know of anything in here that you can find. And I'm not entirely sure if it means that there's something down in the Underdark or something like that in this area instead. But I haven't found anything that applies to. So we did get a level up for Jorval and Gale, so let's take a look at those. Okay, so we now again have our choice here between leveling up Paladin and leveling up Warlock. So our Paladin choices are going to get us disease immunity. It's going to get us another level 1 spell slot, which is another Divine Smite that is not renewable until a long rest. And then I'm going to get Control Undead and Dreadful Aspect. Dreadful Aspect is actually really nice. It's basically a 9 meter AoE Frighten ability. You can think of it like Turn Undead, but just for everybody, basically. And I would get Hellish Rebuke and Inflict Wounds as Oath spells to be able to cast. So for my Warlock here, I'm going to gain level 2 Warlock spells. So my Warlock spells are now different from my Paladin spells, which is important. I'm now also going to gain a Pact boon. So I would have a Pact to choose from here. So Pact of the Chain is going to allow me to summon familiars. Pact of the Tome is going to give me access to 3 new cantrips. And Pact of the Blade is going to give me a class action to summon a weapon that uses my spellcasting ability modifier instead of your strength or dexterity modifier for your 2 hit and 2 damage. And it doesn't matter what weapon it is, you're proficient with it. Now you can only have one particular packed weapon at any particular time, but you gain the benefits of all of that weapon's proficiencies. And more importantly, you're using your spellcasting ability, which in this case is Charisma. And you can then immediately respec your Paladin so that now you are no longer having to use Strength to swing your weapons. You can now use Charisma to swing your weapons. So that means no longer do I have to divide points between Strength and Charisma. I can just put them all into Charisma and up my Constitution and have my and possibly my Dexterity to get better initiative rolls, and have my Strength be more of a dump stat. Okay, so Pact of the Blade is where we are absolutely going with this. You also have another action here, which is Bind Pack Weapon. And what this means is that any weapon that you're carrying, you bind it to you. Which means that now whatever weapon you're carrying, you are proficient with. If you weren't proficient with it previously, the damage from it becomes magical. And the other thing that comes along with it is that it, again, uses your spell casting ability modifier as its 2 hit. So now I could be wielding the Everburn Blade or Zionide, and instead of using Strength as my 2 hit and damage, it would be using Charisma to do it. And if I bump my Charisma up instead of my Strength, now all that damage and 2 hit is coming from Charisma. So this is absolutely the way that we are going to go. We are going to put these points into Warlock so we can gain Pact of the Blade here. So we also gain access to level 2 spells here from the Warlock. And again, my Paladin isn't really too focused on his spell choices for offense. Most of the spell choices are going to be stuff that you can cast and have them last for a long time, or use some other benefit that doesn't have as much offense, because you want to be using those spell slots for your divine smites and not as much for other things. Okay, so at this point, all of my Warlock spell slots, which are now my level 2 spell slots, are going to be used for Divine Smite. So I don't really care as much what spells I have available to me. Misty Step and Mirror Image are probably the 2 most useful ones at this point. You don't want to be casting Darkness with your Paladin if you're going to go down the route where you get Devil Sight with him. You want somebody else to be casting Darkness so that you can then just fight inside that darkness. So for me, in this aspect, I think for the most part, I'm probably just going to take Misty Step just to get me into and out of certain situations. I can move much better across the battlefield with this, but I'm not interested in what would be some of the normally other taken ones, which would be Cloud of Daggers, Hold Person, things like that. I need to be using those spell slots for damage, and I can get much higher damage from Divine Smite than I can from anything else. So from my spell list, I think these are still good for now. Okay, so I'm just going to accept this. And you'll see another benefit that comes along from having level 2 Warlock spell slots. Hey V-Grub, hey Nicholas, thanks everybody for being here. Sorry if I've been neglecting it while I was going through some of the level ups. So for Gale here at level 5 Wizard, he now gains access to level 3 spells. And the level 3 spells for Gale, Fireball is a no-brainer. If you've selected the Evocation subclass from him, he has Sculpt Spell as one of his abilities, which means that if you cast an Evocation spell, which Fireball is an Evocation spell, your allies inside the area of effect take no damage from those spells, which means that I can have my paladin in a big group of enemies in the middle of it, and I can cast Fireball right on the top of him, and it won't cause any damage to him at all, but it will damage everybody else around him. So that is the benefit of the Evocation subclass for him, is the ability to sculpt spells. And because you have that, Fireball is just a no-brainer to have. As far as the rest of them, Counterspell is actually really, really nice. And I'm going to focus on it this playthrough, and you'll see kind of why I'm going to do that as we go. But Counterspell, very, very useful. There are other spells like Haste, which could be extraordinarily useful as well. They are going to become much more useful in the later portions of this and more into Act 2 and Act 3. Right now I still have plenty of potions of speed, and I'm able to craft a bunch of those, so I think Haste can wait so I can demonstrate Counterspell a little better. And now as far as my spells go here, Sleep is probably done at this point. And so is Thunderwave at this point. So I'm going to put Counterspell in here, and well, Thunderwave might be a good backup if somebody does approach me, because they do love attacking spellcasters. If somebody comes near me, I can use Thunderwave to possibly push them back, so I think I will keep that one back. Okay, so for the rest of everybody else, Shadowheart is 39 hit point or experience points away, and Astarion's only 34 away, so the next combat encounter, those two are going to be able to level up. Just we got us into a situation where those two were very close, but not able to level up. So if we look at our reactions, now you can see our Divine Smite ask. We now have the ability to ask about using our level 2 Warlock spell slots. This is what the intent has been all along, is that previously when your Warlock spell slots were level 1 and your Paladin spell slots were number 1, it didn't differentiate between which level 1 spell slot you could use. All you had access to was the blue box icons for level 1. You didn't have access to the purple box level 1 icons, which means you want to use these up because you can just click a short rest and get them all back. Now that you have level 2, it now differentiates between the two different types of spell slots. So now I can make a choice whether I want to use my Warlock spell slot or my Paladin spell slot to be able to inflict Divine Smite. And that means I'm better able to keep these for things like Shield of Faith and Armor of Agathis and things like that, or Blade Ward, as, well, that's a cantrip, but Armor of Agathis or something like that for the most part, and then use my smites utilizing my Warlock spell slots instead, and then I can just get them back after a short rest. Okay? So that's an important distinction now that becomes very, very useful for us. So as soon as that happens, make sure you redo your reactions to ask you about which spell slot you want to use for your individual Divine Smites. So I think all of our others...
No time to dally.
Okay, so opportunity attacks were off all that time. For asking, anyway. They were just going to do it automatically, so doesn't matter. Okay.
No one back home will ever.
Alright, so that gets us a very, very useful thing here. Now, where we are as far as our current ability scores, it's not going to do me any good to bind a weapon right now. It isn't, because that's going to be using a 16 charisma as opposed to a 17. Well, I guess it's not going to matter. I thought he had 15 charisma when I looked at this previously. Okay, so he's got 16 charisma. Oh, because he's got Absolute's Ward. No, he doesn't. He's got 16 because he's got Anti-Ethel's Boon. So, yeah, we're fine. So, he's got +3 from Charisma, +3 from Strength. So, if I bind a weapon now, I'm going to have the same +3 to hit, +3 damage as I do utilizing Strength for it. So, here, what I probably want to do is bind a weapon, and if I click bind packed weapon, it's going to bind my main hand weapon. So right now, if I look at it, Zionide has 1d... Well, none of the damage is going to change. It's my 2 hit that's going to matter here. But the +4 is because I'm getting +1 from the weapon and +3 from strength. So that should still be 1d6 +4 when I bind this weapon, even though I'm using charisma instead of strength. Okay. So now Zionide is still, again, 1d6 +4. It's my packed weapon. And at any time, I can rebind a different one. But for now, that's perfectly fine. And so I'm now using my charisma modifier instead of my strength modifier. So when I get to a point of respecking, this is going to be a lot better because I'll be able to up my charisma to 18, probably 19, maybe even 20 when I do a respec. And now I'm going from a +3 to hit and damage to a +5, or at the minimum a +4. Okay. So very, very useful. Okay. So now I'm going to deal with Dror Ragzlin here. And from a spell economy perspective, we're probably not in a good position.
Never a dull moment.
So
Another
let's
step
just
forward.
come back in here a little bit and let's go take a long rest, and we can respec while we're here. Yes.
The air is heavy. Moisture drips down your forehead. Pain shoots through your fingers. Your hands shake as they reach upward. Your forehead remains drenched no matter how much you wipe.
Chukil Gate Vlakith Mazathok. Can you feel it crawling through you? Tendrils squirming in your chest, gripping your heart, piercing your belly. Your bones popping, your flesh swelling. I can. I see it in you. I feel it in me. We are lost. I will be quick with my blade. First you, then the others, then myself.
Your minds intertwine. You sense a touch of uncertainty, a touch of disgust.
We've talked about this before. You can actually game over yourself right here, if you would like. You can also kill Lae'zel here, if you would like. So there are some fairly drastic options here. If you surrender to Lae'zel, you'll game over. If you deceive her, you will actually kill her, and she will disappear as a party member until you resurrect her. We also have some persuasion options and an illithid option here. I'm going to go with the persuasion option here since I have advantage and proficiency. I can add in guidance as well.
I cannot trust my own mind. So it seems I must trust yours. I will wait. But know this. I am watching. If the sickness does not pass come dawn, I will end us all. I came just in time. You are transforming.
Yes, you have. I saved you before. And I'm here to save you again. Don't worry. You will not become a mind flayer. Not while I'm around. I'll protect you. We haven't much time, so listen closely. There is great potential within you. It comes from that parasite. Your instinct is to resist the power it gives, but you must accept it, nurture it. I will keep it from consuming you, but for the sake of both of us, you must learn to wield it. fight for the fate of Faerun. A fight we are losing. For now. You can change that, but only if you embrace your potential. I have to go. The enemy is closing in. I will be back. Wake now. You'll feel better. I promise.
Okay, so we definitely needed to do that. Whoops. And our quest journal has now an Embrace Your Potential quest line. Okay, so now we're going to go into our inventory and we're going to consume one of the Mind Flayer parasites.
This one is a true soul parasite. It can enhance you. You can absorb its potential. Open your mind to it. You already know how.
Your mind swells as it subsumes everything that Tadpole has to offer. Everything it was and everything it was destined to be. Pure potential. Pure power.
Good. You have grown your power and improved your chances of survival.
Okay, so now you can see that it's removed all of the parasites from our inventory. And we now have 5 listed up here. And now we can open up our Lithid powers here. And there's one branch of this that is an incredible immediate boost in combat power. And that is Favorable Beginnings and Luck of the Far Realms. So, Favorable Beginnings, your first attack roll or ability check you make against any target gains a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus. My proficiency bonus is now 3. Actually, it's not. It's still 2 because I'm multi-classed. But I'm going to be gaining a +2 to my attack rolls on the first attack I make against an enemy. And then that enemy, once they're dead or I move on to somebody else, the first attack I make against a different enemy, I also have Favorable Beginnings against that. This also applies to ability checks. So my persuasion checks against a particular target and things like that, it's going to apply Favorable Beginnings to. And that sort of stuff. So it's an incredible passive ability here to start with. Okay, so if you click on it, you're going to get this little tadpole thing. You click on it again, burrows into your brain, and it unlocks Favorable Beginnings. Next is Luck of the Far Realms. Once per long rest, if you make a successful attack, you can turn that attack into a crit. This is why I chose the half-orc, is because half-orcs roll 3 crit dice instead of 2. So instead of getting 2 critical hit damages, I get 3, and I can pick on an attack roll to make that attack roll into a crit. And Luck of the Far Realms is just like any other reaction in that you can have it ask you if you want to apply it or not. So you can really, that first attack against a big boss enemy, I can gain a bonus to my attack roll. If it hits, I can turn that attack roll into a crit. Once it's a crit, I can apply Divine Smite to it and get crit damage on all of the Divine Smites. And then I can also roll 3 crit dice instead of just 2. So this, in combination with the Paladin and the Half-Orc and Luck of the Far Realms, is what gets you your nuking ability. Okay? Now, there are others out here that are incredibly useful. And as you go through these, you'll see more. But once you get to this outer ring, you need special tadpoles to unlock this outer ring here of abilities. And I believe there's 8 different abilities out here. You have to have unlocked the 2 or the ring in front of it, adjoining it to be able to do it. But there are some really powerful abilities out there that can be very, very useful. And specifically things like the black hole ability and things like that are incredibly powerful. Sucking a bunch of enemies into an area so that you can AoE them. Incredibly useful. All right. So the second thing to know, that's all we're going to unlock for now. The second thing to know is that some characters are going to be willing to embrace their tadpole powers, and some are not.
Touch me.
Okay. We've talked about Astarion before. He's willing to embrace the tadpole already, so we're going to unlock the same 2 for him. Gale is ready as well, but we're going to be kind of looking at other things as we go along down these trees. So we're going to keep 1 in reserve right now.
The dog pants through a ball held firmly in his mouth.
Good roll for that.
He relinquishes the ball. It is well chewed and slick with drool.
Okay, so we picked up Scratch's ball. Scratch's ball is an item that allows you to summon Scratch, and Scratch can then pinpoint hidden chests out in the wild as you're walking around. So he can be very, very useful for finding a lot of those hidden things that are out and about. So I do want to talk to Withers. Is he over here? No. Where is Withers at?
Better not be cursed. Never wanted the easy path.
Okay, nothing in here. Am I just missing him? I don't see him on the map. Okay.
Seems like a good moment to talk.
Fate spins along as it should. Dost thou require a new ally? Or mayhaps a resurrection instead?
Okay, so I'm going to go through this. This is actually going to be my first time going through this.
Thou hast broken thy oath. Before I can aid thee,
Okay.
thou must atone.
So I can't respec. There's been a lot of comments about this, and I wanted to see what it meant, because people's comments can be a little confusing. The original comment that I read was that you can't respec out of Oathbreaker. And that's perfectly fine. I don't care about the fact that I'm Oathbreaker. As long as I could respec. However, what that also means is that you cannot respec while you are an Oathbreaker. Those are two very, very different sentences. So that's what I wanted to check and see. Because what it now means is that I'm going to have to spend the gold.
Speak, Oathbreaker.
To...
It is possible. First, you must pay the agreed price. Material sacrifice is required to prove your words have substance. Do you wish to pay?
Okay. So here I'm going to reclaim my oath. I'm going to immediately break the thing again, though.
The price is paid. Tell me, why do you wish to reclaim your oath? Newfound wisdom. A sense of clarity. Kneel, Oathbreaker. You swear to deliver righteous retribution, vanquishing your enemies, and aiding those who suffer at their hands. The Oath of Vengeance is once more yours to fulfill.
Okay. And yes, Nicholas, that's why I wanted to go through it, because the language that people have been using to talk about it is a little bit imprecise sometimes. And that's why I wanted to illustrate it, to let people know what you have to do. You cannot respec when you are an Oathbreaker Paladin. It doesn't let you. You have to reclaim your oath before you can respec. Okay, so now it becomes important for me to either keep my oath.
Fate spins along as it should. Dost thou require a new ally? Or mayhaps a resurrection instead?
Okay, so now it becomes either important for me to either keep my oath, if I want to be able to easily respec again later on. I need to keep my oath, otherwise I'm going to have to pay another 1,000 gold to get my oath back if I break it again. So that's kind of, it's one of those things about the Oathbreaker Paladin that I think I understand why Larian did it, because it's a programming thing. The Oathbreaker is something that is basically overriding some choices that are made during character creation. And it can't find a way to respec you and go through those same character creation menu options and give you and remove the option to select your oath. So instead of reprogramming that section of character creation to be able to allow you to keep Oathbreaker, if you are an Oathbreaker, it doesn't allow you to do it at all. I think that is purely a programming problem that I think Larian probably should have worked around. But then again, being able to respec like this is not in tabletop either. So it is what it is. You take the ups and downs with it as you go here. So again, we're going to start off like we did previously. We're going to start with Paladin. We're going to start off with Oath of Vengeance here. And we are... Wait a minute, I've been thinking about this entirely wrong, haven't I? Yeah, this is my first time going through this, so I'm going through this the first time the same as all of you are. So I'm respecing my class, but I'm not able to respec my ability scores. So I've been thinking about this entirely wrong. Yes, because all this does is allow you to change your class makeup. You cannot change your ability scores, which is what tabletop is based around. Okay. So that makes... I planned this entirely wrong from the very, very beginning of my playthrough. So I can freely admit that right now. Is that I played this entirely wrong from the very beginning. I didn't have to respec if that was the case. Yeah, but none of that has anything to do with my ability scores. None of that. There was no option when I started this to change my ability scores. Whether or not I have an oath or not doesn't matter. There was no option there to be able to do it. So where is the option to be able to do it? I can pay him another...
Fate.
I don't care about the gold. It's only 100 gold.
New ally, as thou desire.
Oh, here are the abilities right here. Okay. Oof. Okay. Because I had read everything about this, and I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Why can I not do it? Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, so here... I wonder, though... Now that I'm respecing ability points... Do I lose the +1 to charisma from Auntie Ethel's boon? That's something I did not go look at. Okay, so persuasion proficiency is fine, and insight proficiency is what I picked previously. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pick this. The Oath of Vengeance is what I want. Paladin starting out. We'll see if it applies it afterward. Okay, so yeah, the +1 from Auntie Ethel's boon is still there. Okay. So, yes, looks like this does play out like I was expecting. I just missed the option to respec my ability points. Okay, good. I was going to be very disappointed if the entire premise of my live stream had been invalidated. So fighting style, I still want dueling. I'm going to end up being sword and board for this entire thing. I don't want great weapon master or anything like that for my feats. I'm going to be focusing on sword and board as I go into this. I want to have a high armor class, be able to stand in the middle of a bunch of enemies and just deal out divine smites as punishment while I'm in there. My prepared spells, again, it doesn't really matter what they are right now. I can deal with all these later. Okay, so now I'm going to add in my first level of Warlock here. Those cantrips are still perfectly fine. I'm going to end up taking the Friend's cantrip instead at some point. The Great Old One is one I want to take here. This is the other thing that synergizes well with Luck of the Far Realms, in that whenever I land a crit against an enemy, that enemy and nearby enemies in a radius around it must succeed at a wisdom saving throw or become frightened. So in other words, I can trigger Luck of the Far Realms, and all the enemies that are within a radius around me have to save against a wisdom throw, or they're going to start running away from me. They're going to drop their weapons and run away from me. Which is, oh no, this is frightened. So this is like the fear version. So they cannot move, but they're going to have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. So one more way for me to stand in the middle of a big group of enemies and deal out more damage. So for the spells here, I think these two are fine. Nothing special that I'm going to need here out of these two. A big disabling spell is Tasha's, which is a good use of that level 1 spell slot. Okay, so here on my spells that I have access to, again, I can pick another one in here. My Eldritch Invocation, so Agonizing Blast. I'm going to hold off on Devil's Sight until I get my next Eldritch Invocation. I'm going to stick with Repelling Blast for now, but we are more than likely going to end up at Devil's Sight here. And with Agonizing Blast, I'm now adding my Charisma modifier, which right now is +4 to it. And I'm not going to change any of my spells for now. Then here we go up to Warlock level 3. We gain our level 2 spell slots here. And we're going to select Misty Step, and our Pact is Pact of the Blade. And now everything should be back the way that I want it. Yes. So I've got high constitution for my hit points. So my constitution went from 14 to 16. My dex went from 10 to 12. And my charisma went from 15 to 18. So now you can see I've got big proficiencies and an additional +2 to my charisma attribute scores to go along with this. And now when I bind my pack weapon, which right now is Cyanide, now Cyanide is using that 1d6, now it's +5, because I'm getting a +4 bonus from my Charisma modifier. So this is what the main important aspects of the Hexblade Paladin are all about. Utilizing your charisma score to do your damage and to hit with your weapons. Using your warlock spell slots to dish out divine smite so that you can get them back on a short rest. And that way, when you spec your Hexblade Paladin at character creation and tabletop, you spec it out with a low strength. You normally start with only a 12 strength. I think it's 12 strength. Whatever in tabletop allows you to wear heavy armor. In tabletop, you have a minimum strength requirement to be able to wear certain types of armor inside of it. So when you spec your Hexblade, I think it's a strength. Boy, that's actually an interesting. I can't remember if it's strength 13 or strength 15. I actually can't remember off the top of my head. It's been so long since I've done it. I think it's strength 15 for plate armor. That you have to have a strength of 15 to be able to wear plate armor in tabletop. So you spec it with a 15 strength, and the rest of your ability scores go into charisma. And then you keep upping your charisma with your feat selections as you go, and you just have 15 strength just to be able to wear plate armor. That's the only reason that you have it. We don't have those same strength requirements in this game. So it makes it a little bit OP in that we can use strength as our dump stat here. Okay. So now we've kind of gotten back to where we wanted to be with all of this. I don't care about the conversations right now as much. I want to get back into this, and let's make sure our reactions are still set up. Yes, they are. We'll go ahead and fight and have the Dror fight here. Okay, we do need to talk to Astarion, though, it looks like.
So, you've indulged. Just helped yourself to a little more power, I see. And there isn't a tentacle to be seen. Not a bad deal, I'd say. My only complaint is that you didn't want to share. I wouldn't mind indulging myself.
I already did share. Astarion.
I wasn't keen to be the first to try it, just in case there were any, surprise side effects. But now that we know it's safe, I'm all for experimenting. I might just hold you to that.
Okay, so I did Up Astarion, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay. So now we've gotten our Paladin a massive boost in combat strength. And hopefully you will see that playing out in this encounter here. So I'm going to split my Paladin off.
One with the weave.
No.
With haste.
And I'm going to take everybody else up top. Yeah, sorry, I was looking through that and wasn't reading the comments. Yes, bind your packed weapon.
All right.
Binding has to be reapplied after a long rest. Okay, your bind packed weapon lasts until long rest, either by summoning one or by binding one. You have to redo. No, I take that back. Your summoning is once the conflict ends, it goes away. Your binding packed weapon is every long rest.
Lovely day this. For now. My pleasure.
Okay, so I'm going to leave Gale over here.
It's a gnome's life for me. Most excellent.
There is work to do.
Going to move Shadowheart over here.
This way.
What now?
And Astarion over here.
My faith will guide me.
And I'm going to put everybody into hiding.
Well, hello. Let's keep to the shadows.
And now for me,
Let's see.
I'm going to turn this off just to be safe.
With haste.
I'm going to go into hiding here. There are patrolling goblins down here that will possibly make their way up into this area. So I want to stay hidden for now. I do want to make my way into that room a little bit later and then close the doors behind me, just not right this second. And as usual, I'm going to start this off with Astarion. And I'm going to start this off by attacking the wooden hinge here on the brazier. That brazier is going to fall down here, and hopefully I can kill both, but more than likely I'm just going to kill Kagran. But we'll see what happens here.
Shall we?
Oops. Okay. I don't like that thing either. That mechanic either. And I don't care if he does that. Actually, I do, because now I'm going to have more goblins show up from the south door, and it might knock my paladin out of stealth. But we'll see. Okay. So...
Don't mind me.
Here, yes. I knew that was going to happen. It couldn't get my paladin out of the way fast enough. Not a big deal, though. Oh, that's interesting. I've got two separate sets of combat going on here. That's very interesting. I've never run into this before, where I've got two separate combat encounters going that are unrelated to each other at the same time. That's interesting.
There we go again.
Okay, so needed a 15 to hit. I rolled a 19, so now with Luck of the Far Realms, I can turn that into a crit if I want. I don't want to, though. And now I hit, so now you can see I can choose which Divine Smite I want to use, if any. And in this case, I do not want to react and use a Divine Smite here. What I'm interested in is if I end my turn here, does that end Astarion's turn? This is very, very interesting. I'm going to try an experiment with this. I'm going to end my turn here and see what happens to Astarion. Okay, good. So it didn't.
That won't work.
So I can just carry out this combat. Okay, so now I'm going to move in here. And I'm going to close the door behind me. Okay, so Dror is over here. Not too worried about Dror at this point, though. So we're going to... Okay, let's go to Astarion first here and see if maybe I can knock out one or both of these here. Let's see what we can do. Oh, here we go with this stupid thing again. Outside of normal range. Okay, so let's move over to here. I should be able to still hit from here.
Let's go.
Okay, so that path is probably going to be interrupted. Yeah. These paths are interrupted. So that was horrible. Again, some of the ways that these things are able to shoot down below by moving offset a little bit. But if you click on it, you're not necessarily allowed to move at that same location is a little bit iffy. I don't necessarily like how that plays out sometimes. Yeah, see. So, okay, so it's showing I can hit here. And I've got advantage, so I should be able to have a sneak attack against him here. Let's see if it asks me to apply the sneak attack. Okay, so it did. It asked me, okay, so there's the sneak attack. Okay, so
This really isn't my forte.
now for Gale. So let's see what we can do. I don't think I necessarily need Fireball to take all of them out, and I'd prefer to save the Fireball for Dror. Dror's just going to get tore. He's just going to get lit up here in a second anyway. But this would possibly get me. Nope, this detection cone here from Warlock Bolt is overlapping this entire area as well. Okay.
Onward.
So let's just move out here. Okay, so that removed one more.
What's next, I wonder?
Now Shadowheart, I can level her up. That would get her access to her level 3 spells. Okay. So she does unlock level 3 spells. When she turns an undead, it also takes a bunch of radiant damage, which is, again, very, very useful. So, mass healing word. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to change that prepare to Spirit Guardians once we're done here. So here, let's see if I can move to a spot where I'm going to be able to hit him. Okay.
What now?
So now let's look and see what our detection cones look like. Oh boy. I am very, very close to being able to hit Dror Ragzlin here.
Wonder if the gods are watching me.
Let me see if I'm close enough. Oh, I am. Okay, so here's where we start to see the abilities that a half-orc paladin with Divine Smite and Luck of the Far Realms comes into play. So he's got 75 hit points right now. Let me make sure my reactions are right. They are. Okay. So I needed a 14 to hit. I rolled a 26, so that means I'm going to turn that successful hit into a crit. Now I'm going to apply Divine Smite level 2 on the critical hit. And that's 55 hit points in one attack. So this is, like I say, where things start getting a little bit OP. As your, and this is without, remember, this is without extra attack. And I'm going to have access to 2 extra attacks eventually once I reach level 10. 5 in Warlock, 5 in Paladin. I'm going to have the extra attack from Pact of the Blade, and I'm going to have an extra attack from the Paladin. So this is without any of that, just in the single start off nuke attack, rolled 55 hit points of damage. So just keep that in mind. That's how impressive things can get when it comes to a paladin. Okay, so he's casting... Okay, so he's hexing my intelligence. And this is what Counterspell does. Whenever an enemy casts a spell, you have the opportunity as a reaction to counterspell it. Now, I don't really care about Hex that much, so I'm going to let this one go through and just see if I have make a save against it. Actually, on Hex you won't, but it doesn't really matter to me whether or not that spell lands. It really doesn't.
End this.
Okay, so now for Shadowheart here. Yeah, I know. Dror is a barbarian, and we've had this same conversation during the barbarian playthrough. Barbarians are the single target DPS gods of the game. There's just so much that they can do against a single individual target that it's really not even funny. The amount of DPS that they can put out in one turn against one target is almost unprecedented. The only thing that edges it out is the Paladin that I'm playing. But for everything else, a single target, burst DPS, the Barbarian is right there along with it. So I fully expected it. However, I didn't expect him to roll as well as he did. Because remember, I have a 19 armor class right now. is. Okay, so we rolled a 19. So not a lot I can do when he rolled a 19. So here he rolled an 11 and he was just barely able to hit me with his strength modifier and his proficiency modifier that comes along with absolute power. But yeah, I didn't expect him to be able to hit me with both, but he just rolled really, really well on his first attack roll there. So here I can cast Shield of Faith, and now my armor class here has gone up to 21. So 2 points harder to hit.
Focus.
Unleash me.
Can't give up. Not now.
Swords meet sorcery.
Now Gale, my only goal here with Gale is to now start removing other enemies off the board. So we'll just keep that in mind as we bring this warrior and hopefully this Booyog down here with me.
Still breathing, despite everything.
Okay, so my point here, I can't use reactions because I'm dazed, which is a problem. So my reactions here, I'm not entirely sure how this dazed mechanic works with reactions in the game versus in tabletop. So it'll be something that will be interesting to look at here. So Dror is a hobgoblin. Okay. So I'm seeing what's going to happen because his turn's coming up next. So let's I can't. It won't let me do that. If I move there, I don't know if I'm going to be in range of him or not. Oh, and he's going to have to move. I almost missed that. He's going to have to move to cast Misty Step to get over there. I can do it right here, though, without moving. Okay, so yeah, if I use that, I'm going to invoke an attack of opportunity here. Got a really high armor class, though, so...
Another step forward.
Okay, so now Hold Person is bad. It's a bad spell. And casting against Astarion, it's a wisdom-based spell. He's got a +1 to wisdom checks.
I speak, they burn.
I'm going to take a long rest after this anyway. So I'm going to counterspell this. And you see that basically uses his reaction and a spell slot to be able to cancel that spell out entirely. So his detection cone directly overlaps me. I don't know if I've got enough movement to get out of there, so let's dash. No, let's not. Let's see if I have enough to get me out of it.
Quickly. Into the shadows.
I can. Okay, I don't really want to use it again, or use it yet. Now, Dror should dash. Okay, he's going to throw a rock at Shadowheart. That's fine. Or throw javelins at Shadowheart. Okay, so, and his javelins actually hit the beam here. Oh boy, I know what I want to do with this.
Nothing important is ever easy.
Okay.
Got to concentrate.
But now,
Again.
oh boy. I rolled a 2, of course.
Allow me to demonstrate.
So here, I can just end everybody down here. But let's see if I can get Dror in this as well. I can. Oh, he survived that. No, with 1 hit point, of course.
Sometimes the only way out is through.
So I don't want to move over there. I do have this. Let me see if I can move somewhere. Okay, where's that gonna shove him? Should be okay. Yeah, the Brazer's just a bit far off of where he was here, I think. But what I was really interested in was whether or not Repelling Blast was going to knock him down the pit or not here. So now I should be able to hide.
Leave no trace.
Should be able to sneak attack down here. Don't need it. And that's it.
There's an illicit parasite in that corpse. You should take a look.
Okay, so the initial plan for how the Hexblade-ish Paladin works has proven to be effective. However, I just got really unlucky with that 119 roll there, and wasn't able to take, full advantage of it. But the other thing that comes along with this is the fact that
I'll feel that one later.
now I have 2 level 2 Divine Smites back again. That's what makes this so incredibly useful from a action economy standpoint. Of course, that short rest doesn't get Gale's level 3 spells back, or any of Shadowheart's level 3 spells back. But this is more than enough for me to continue on clearing out the inside of this area here with what I've got. Then I can take a long rest and get all of my spells back before I head outside for the encounter out there, which is significantly easier because of the fact
time to rest.
that I due to the fact that I poisoned the tub out there. And they all took some serious damage or died outright because of it. Okay. Now that's the other thing that I'm going to have to get used to, is the fact that I'm not just going to be picking up everything with my paladin anymore. Because my paladin is now doesn't have the strength that it used to. So I'm going to be now utilizing other characters to carry more of the blah items that I would normally sell. Because my strength is now, of course, much lower than it used to be. So let's level up Astarion here. Because Astarion has a very interesting choice to start to make. And this is where we're going to make it. So, leveling up level 5 Rogue, you get Uncanny Dodge. Uncanny Dodge is incredibly useful. It's hard to overstate how useful it is. Basically, any attack that hits you, you take half damage from it. Presumably, you're able to move at least partially out of the way of any attack that comes at you, and you take half damage. Now, this can be combined with other sorts of damage mitigation to lower that even more. But Uncanny Dodge is incredibly useful. However, we're going to go a different way with Astarion here. Starting at level 5, we're going to add in a level of Ranger. And we're going to focus on yeah, nice boots. We're going to focus on things that are going to up his damage as we go. So the favored enemy tactic here that you're going to get, finding a familiar is okay as a skill. It can be useful. It gives the enemy something else to fight. Some of the familiars can blind your targets and do things like that, which can be useful as well. Keeper of the Veil, and here's where we're gonna, our natural explorer, we're gonna get to here in a minute. So with favored, with bounty hunter, we're going to select a well, here we'll go through natural explorer first. So for beast tamer, find a familiar. Urban tracker gets me additional proficiencies. Wasteland, wanderer, cold, fire, and poison, these get you resistance to any of the particular damages here. So fire is the most common type of damage that I've found in the game so far. So for me, it's really between Beast Tamer and Wasteland Wanderer Fire. The Find Familiar is, like I say, there are good familiars to have around you. I don't need proficiency in Sleight of Hand because I already have it with the rogue slots. So I'm going to reduce my damage from fire by half. So favored enemy here. So Bounty Hunter, I gain proficiency in investigation, and then my ensnaring strike. If it lands, they have disadvantage on their saving throw against ensnaring strikes, which is very, very useful. Being able to lock an enemy in place can be very, very useful. So Sanctified Stalker, I can cast Sacred Flame as a cantrip, and I gain proficiency in religion. Not really a thing I'm interested in. I gain proficiency in heavy armor, which, again, not really a thing. Mage Breaker, you can cast True Strike. We've talked multiple strikes about how bad True Strike as a cantrip is in this game. So, Keeper of the Veil, you gain proficiency in Arcana and cast protection from evil and good. So, it's really gaining spells and or skill proficiencies, as opposed to also gaining the ensnaring strike, having disadvantage on that saving throw. This, I think, is by far the most useful out of them all. So my proficiencies here, I don't think these are going to matter as much. Let me see if there's anything that goes along with animal handling can be useful. Athletics could keep me from being shoved around. So I think that's the one that I'm going to use, is just to get my athletics off of a -1, so I can avoid being shoved around. Animal handling can be useful, but then again, with my charisma being what it is on my paladin, even without the proficiency in it, hopefully if I get into issues with animals or something like that, I can do more persuasion checks as opposed to animal handling checks. So I think I am going to go that way. Okay, so the important things that I also get is I gain proficiency with medium armor and shields as well because of my ranger ability. So now I can up him to scale mail +1 to get that maximum 15 +2 dex bonus to a 17 armor class just straight by itself. We're going to keep leveling up Ranger after that on his future level ups. So, something to keep in mind how we're going to continue to level Astarion up, is we're going to be focusing on Ranger for him for a while.
This way.
And you'll see how that applies, very similar to how we're applying it in the Bard playthrough with him. Okay, so Faithbreaker is a +1 Warhammer. It gets you an additional proficiency that comes along with it. The Mind Flayer Parasite, obviously very useful. We need to have Shadowheart cast Speak with the Dead.
As the corpse rises, your parasite squirms in recognition.
Oh, stop it! Stop it! You wretched worm!
There's no doubt this creature is responsible for your parasite, and it's waiting for your questions. Dark, empty pods flicker across your vision. They demand new flesh. Fractured images fill your mind. Curved drow blades, crude goblin torches, gnoll teeth dripping blood. You see other mind flayers arranged in a serene circle. Absolute unity. Absolute power. You see the tadpole in the mind flayer's hand. Not a parasite, Perfection. Rebirth is sloughing flesh. A new skull housing cold, sharp intellect. You watch through the creature's eyes as it curses the starborn slaves. They want the ones from the ship. Darkness and sun, barely contained. You see dark tunnels lit by noxious pools of brine. The darkness spreads through the earth. The sky splits open and nautiloids pour out of a void that consumes the stars. The Mind Flayer's corpse twitches, then collapses again. It will speak no more.
Okay. So now I'm going to... Oh. Did I not pick it up? I guess I never picked it up out of my camp chest. So my camp chest is over here, I think.
Let's see.
Yes, it's still in here. Okay, so I'm going to put on Mask of the Shapeshifter. Because I killed Dror and I want to talk to him.
Alright, better get to it.
The corpse regards you, lifelessly.
Squid, ship, fugitives, needs. Beast rotting, looter, warg pens. Absolute binds obedience.
Okay, so we learned again that Halsin is downstairs.
Worth grabbing.
While we're here, we're going to search these two. Forgot to search Warlock Bolt here. Okay, good. Some more arrows. I needed an arrow of Roaring Thunder. Okay, and then the fairly uneventful treasure cache back here. Okay, so we'll pick up all these items and then we'll look at them here in a second. So we picked up the Amulet of Selûne's Chosen. This allows you to use Selûne's Dream as a cantrip, or as a spell once per long rest. You can heal somebody for 1d8, but they can possibly fall asleep. However, if you cast this on Astarion or Shadowheart, who are immune to sleep, then it doesn't matter. The Gloves of the Growling Underdog are a set of gloves that you use when you are surrounded, when you're meant to be inside of a group of enemies. So you're going to gain advantage whenever there are 2 people or more surrounding you. And you get +1 to strength saving throws. Now that is a great benefit for my Paladin, who I plan to operate that way anyway. There's no downside to this in that if you're only got 1 enemy around you, you don't take a a disadvantage or anything. It just doesn't kick in until there are 2 or more enemies around you. But we've already seen how having advantage is a huge deal when it comes to attack rolls. And then the spring step boots, so whenever you dash or something, you gain momentum. So for Astarion, who's basically got an increased jump distance right now, I'm going to keep those on him and replace these. So when he dashes, he now also gains momentum out of it. So the spider silk armor is the same armor class as the padded armor. I'd give up 1 bludgeoning damage resistance to gain a plus on my stealth checks and advantage on constitution saving throws and checks. And besides, it looks much cooler. Combining this with the helm of Menzo Berenzin that we're going to pick up later, things just start getting really cool. So I'm going to put the gloves of... Do I need to? I'm trying to think if I need to or not. I don't think I need to put them on yet. And I think that's it. Oh, I need to swap this back out. Shadowheart can keep that in her inventory. Oh yeah, and we did pick up Faithbreaker here. So this is a versatile weapon now, which is more damage. Your mace is 1d6. Your warhammer is 1d10. It's 1d8 when you wield it one-handed, but it would still be an increase in damage over it. However, I would lose the fairy fire ability that goes along with it. So for now, I think I'm going to stick with Cyanide, but I might end up changing over to Faithbreaker at some point. Okay, so here I'm going to bring everybody kind of back over here.
Keep your distance, darling.
I toggle the group. I am actually going to put the Gloves of Thievery back on.
Subtle steps.
I don't think this chest up here is locked, but... Do I have... Is there another crate over here? Okay, no, but there is a grease bottle to pick up. There's a crate here you can search. Nothing there. And there's a heavy chest on this side. Okay, a couple more arrows, some good ones too.
What to do? Light on my feet.
Okay, so we are going to utilize the spiders again here. And I think we still do have potions of animal speaking. We do. Boy, if I use that though, I don't need to use that. Yeah, I am going to go back over there here in a second. I'm just thinking about this. You don't need to. Now I'm kind of wishing I took animal handling, because without speak with animals, the only way I can pass that check is with animal handling. That was stupid. I knew it was the second I clicked it.
Whatever comes, I'm ready. Got to press on.
Okay, so we're going to cast Speak with the Dead on Minthara. And again, this stupid wall. Okay. Fine. Okay, so he's going to be able to climb up here. This one might not. 17 to 20. Yeah, he'll be able to climb up there too without dashing. So I need to get up there first.
Will protect me.
So I have a 19 armor class now. So let's just move Shadowheart up here. I do not want to lose concentration on Shield of Faith.
Let's have some fun. On the way.
Okay. That's what I wanted to happen. That's what a 19 armor class will get you. So now the question is, how do I get up there? Oh, because of my lower strength again. I wonder if I can see through here. I can. So messed up.
No hesitation.
Okay, so now I'm within... I've got 2 enemies around me, so now you can see Underdog's bravery has kicked in. So I have advantage on these attack rolls.
I don't fancy their chances.
And I don't really care much about Gale. So Astarion, I'll move him up here, and now that this one's threatened, I can get a sneak attack on him.
Nicely.
Never a dull moment.
Let's turn someone inside out.
Okay, now I actually want to move him back down.
Can't afford to
Let's
let
move
up.
Shadowheart. Can we move her up at all? Yes, we can. Move her up so we can move Astarion back out of the way.
What's the plan?
Okay, good. Otherwise, he would have attacked Astarion, and Astarion has a much lower armor class than Shadowheart does.
Think you can take me on?
Okay, so might as well use Divine Smite here. Actually, I don't need to. I can hold off on that one.
With the weave.
Don't care about Gale, and now with Astarion's back in, it's threatened. This sneak attack should end it.
Use your
Of course, that's what I get for talking. You know what might be good? Oh no. I'm going to be a little bit short, I think.
With finesse.
Maybe not. Yes. Okay. That gets me the happy trait as well. No.
I wonder what the next move is.
Is that blood? No, never mind. It's been a long day. I'll need to rest soon.
Oh yeah, no, Eric, that's yeah, sorry, that's Shadowheart with the Helm of Shifting Faces on, so that I can. The original intent was to come in here and cast Speak with the Dead on Minthara.
The corpse regards you lifelessly.
Under dark, Menzo Barons on. Raiding, hunting, the Absolute's will. East Village well. God, everything, the future, by my side.
The spell's power wanes. You can ask no more questions.
All's well that ends.
Okay, and now we can break the group. Oh yeah. Remember, my strength isn't what it used to be.
What path lies before me?
Okay, so we already looted her chest. Find the one pixel where it works. And now group everybody up. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is head into the warg pens here and look at rescuing Halsin. But that is going to wait until next week. That gives us a great place to wrap things up. So just as a reminder for this coming week, I'm back in town again now, so the Starfield live stream will take place Wednesday evening per normal. I know for my European viewers that's way too late, so the live stream will be up as a video afterward. But everything should be back to normal now. So with the stream on Wednesday, 2 streams on Saturday, and we'll keep going that way throughout NFL football season till the end of it. So again, as always, you guys have been great. Thank you very much for all the interactions in chat. I certainly appreciate it. Glad to see that things are working out kind of the way I had planned for the Paladin playthrough, and I think it's only going to get better from here on out. So, as always, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me today. Without your support, none of this would be possible, and this is me, Commander Dror, saying until next time, fare thee well.